We are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cage My IQ. As always, I'm your host, Cage, and joining me once again is my co-host, Jim. How's it going, Jim?
It's going good, man. This is something that I've been looking forward to since our last recording. This is going to be a lot of fun. How are you?
I am good. I am excited to talk about UFC 280. This is our four-card prediction show. This, of course, is main evented by a lightweight championship matchup between the former champ Charles Oliveira going up against Islam Makhachev. And, of course, the co-main event is another championship fight between Aljamain Sterling going up against TJ Dillashaw. What was your thoughts on this fight card when it was first announced?
I loved it. I mean, top to bottom, this is one of the best cards that UFC has put on in 2022. And just looking ahead of what we're talking about today, the prelim main event on any other card, that's a main event or a co-main
Yes.
event. But this card is stacked from top to bottom, and there's a lot of tough matchups on here. I know the odds makers feel a little bit differently, but there's a lot of tough matchups on this card. So I'm really pumped to kind of break this down and see where you're at too, because we don't exchange picks until we're live. So this is exciting.
Yeah, but this was my reaction when I saw the fight card get announced.
Exactly what you got to do. Oh, he got it done. He got it done. Daniel Cormier is the UFC heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean I think the reaction everybody had, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
jump for joy.
and to make matters even better is the fact that it's going to be uh, during the day for the main card, of course, because it's going to be taking place at the Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. The prelims will be at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and the main card will be starting at 2 in the afternoon, so
Yep.
on the East Coast. So it's very fan friendly for people who want to watch it and then be able to go out and enjoy themselves afterwards. So that's another plus for the fight card. So you're going to get to watch it in the afternoon and then be able to do whatever you want right afterwards.
Yeah, this is like a dual screen kind of game
Yeah,
fight for me. Like I have to have this on one screen and
yeah,
Premier League on the other screen, and if I have another screen, I'm putting college football right behind it. But this is I like the 10 o'clock starts, man. It gets
yeah.
you up, gets you going, then you got the whole night to do whatever you want.
But before we get started with our predictions, as always, this is the Cage by IQ podcast. Follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below and then hit the notification bell so that whenever we put any content out, you guys are the first to get it. And please do us a favor, smash the like button down below. And when you're done watching this video, hit us up in the comment section to the right and give us your feedback on our fight picks, our underdog picks, and anything that you have with your betting for UFC 280. We value your opinions. We value any knowledge that you want to give out to us. And if you disagree with us, let us know. Let us know anything about this fight card in the comment section.
Right.
But let's get started with the first fight on the prelims. Of course, we got a women's bantamweight matchup between Lena Linsberg going up against Kara Rosa. We got the elbow queen going up against Rosa. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight and who you have winning?
I think that this is a good fight to start the card on, number one. I have Carol Rosa winning this one. I think Rosa has the volume and power advantage. Lena Landsberg is kind of declining in her career as she gets a little older. Both fighters are prone to being taken down and taking down their opponents. So I think that kind of evens it out, and the fight's going to play out more on the feet with Rosa coming out on top. She has a 2.5 inch reach advantage, which is something to look at in terms
Yeah.
of her jab and her combinations. And factoring in her ability to pour in volume, I see Carol Rosa walking away with a decision win.
What makes this fight interesting is you would think on paper that Lindsberg would have the advantage. She has the Muay Thai and kickboxing background, where Caruso only has Muay Thai with that BJJ secondary background. And Lindsberg likes to clinch up. She likes to use her strength to push her opponents against the cage and fight within the clinch. But one of her weaknesses is if she fights somebody who is stronger than her, it kind of negates that advantage that she has in the clinch. She gets overpowered, and then with her pulling out low volume because of the clinch game, it kind of keeps her in the position where she usually always loses by decision. A lot of fights go that way because of the clinch mentality. And Kara has the Muay Thai background, so she is no slouch to clinch it up as well. She's a very strong opponent, just like you said. She throws a high volume clip. She likes to throw knees and elbows in the clinch. She likes to get gritty, and she throws leg kicks as well. The one prone thing that she is weak against is, of course, the grapplers you saw against in a last matchup against McCann. She struggled against the takedown defense, and that's how she lost that fight. I picked her to win it, and then she wound up getting overpowered, even though she outvolumed McCann. McCann was able to grapple her up, take her down, and get the advantage that way in the fight to pick up the victory. And she won't have to worry about that this matchup, and that's why I'm going with Caruso by decision. I feel like she racks up the volume. She'll get the better of Lindsberg in the clinch game, and then she'll win by decision.
Yeah, and she's good at moving in and out. So she's not going to have to
Yeah.
rely on the clinch like Lena Landsberg does. The name that's her nickname says it all. She thrives in the clinch where she can land those big heavy elbows. So Carol's going to move and work from distance, which is going to play right to her hand.
Yep, definitely so. Let's move on to the second fight. On the prelims, we got a men's flyweight matchup between Muhammad the Punisher Makhachev going up against Malcolm X Gordon. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
I love this matchup. I have Makhachev winning this one, but I don't think it's going to be a runaway as the odds suggested. Last time I looked at the odds, he was like a plus 700 favorite. Makhachev is really well rounded and puts and displays all of his tools. Gordon has power and is good wrestling, but is really prone to being submitted and knocked out. He's got a suspect chin at this point, but he still throws out that power. Makhachev has a great ground game and is relentless with his takedowns. Plus, he works well from his back. So if Malcolm Gordon goes in with his wrestling, he's gonna need to keep himself away from putting himself into bad positions because Makhachev can get a submission, at a drop of a dime. So I'm gonna go with that direction, and I'm gonna go with Makhachev by second round submission. I think Gordon takes him down, and Makhachev just kind of puts himself into the right moves, either locks and a choke or an armbar, and it's game over for Malcolm Gordon in this fight.
Yeah, Makhachev has that high energy. He has endless cardio, and he's always moving and always throwing. It seems like there's nothing that stops him. He has great striking, great grappling, of course. He's always looking for a submission or the knockout. He's always looking to end the fight before the bell. But then you got Malcolm Gordon, who has, just like you said, he has that wrestling background, but everybody sleeps on his kickboxing. That's what got him to the dance is his kickboxing, along with this wrestling. He has good leg kicks, good striking, good for range, and then he uses that to open up the grappling side of things. And that's kind of how he's won the last couple of fights that he's been in. Has been just the transition from one to another. But now he's playing up a guy in Makhachev who's just is going to just be very aggressive and try and attack him, try to take his back. And it's going to be interesting to see how he fights close up because he's not going to be able to keep that range going for this fight. I feel like because Makhachev is going to be able to close the distance really fast and get him in range and clinch up on him in an offensive way rather than in a defensive way.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning towards the same with you. I was thinking round 2 submission via rear naked choke. I just feel like the striking of the power striking of Makhachev is going to get him up close. He's going to clinch up with them, take him down. If it's just a double leg takedown, or if he just takes the back of him, drags him down, and then just overpowers him for the choke. One or the other, I think he gets that submission, whether it's round 2 or round 3. I think round 1's going to be more of a feel out for the 2, and then round 2 is going to be where Makhachev takes over.
That's kind of where I was leaning to as well. I think Makhachev still 7-0 in his professional career. He's going to have to respect Malcolm Gordon's power, and Malcolm Gordon's going to have to make him respect that. So he's going to have to touch him a lot. But I do see the second round being that like turn the corner moment for the fight.
Yeah, definitely so. But let's move on to the next fight. We have a men's middleweight matchup between Armand Superman Petrosian going up against AJ Dobson. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you got winning?
It's crazy to see the quote unquote fall from grace Petrosian has kind of had when we were talking about him in the main events just a few months ago. But I'm going to go with him in this one. Both are high volume strikers, but Petrosian has better striking defense and accuracy. I think he throws at like a 5.3 per minute or lands at 5.3 and only absorbs about like 2.1. And I think that's doubled for AJ Dobson in this one. It would be interesting to see if Dodson follows Caio Bahaio's lead and focuses on taking Petrosian down and working his BJJ to control Petrosian. If that happens, I feel like Dodson can walk away with this, and I think that's why the odds make him a slight underdog as opposed to being like a heavy underdog. But I think Petrosian is going to keep this fight standing and walk away with decision. So this is going to be another decision win in favor of Armin Petrosian.
This is very unusual matchup. We talked highly of Armand Petrosian in the past. He has that kickboxing style, very good with his hand striking, throws leg kicks. He has knockout power. He's all about the movement. But the weakness that he's had that we've seen in the past 2 fights in the UFC since he's joined has been the takedown defense.
Yep.
He was taken down by RoboCop several times, and if it wasn't for RoboCop making that one mistake in the 3rd round early, he would have beat Armand Petrosian and likely submitted him, but he made a mistake not grabbing Petrosian. Petrosian got up, was aware enough to know that he needed to throw a lot of strikes in that 3rd round to take it. He did, and he got the victory. And then against Kai Barallo, he just got grappled all fight, got taken down to the ground, and was controlled for majority of the fight. So he had no chance of getting going. And Dobson is a fighter. He does have knockout power, and he's good with combinations, but his mainstay is the wrestling. He didn't get to showcase enough against Malkoun because Malkoun enforced his will on him and was able to out grapple him. But I feel that if there's a time for him to go to the grappling and not to look for the knockout, it's this fight here, because Petrosian has the takedown defense weakness.
Yeah.
And if Dobson can take him down and wear on him, he can wear out Petrosian and then look for the shots on the ground. Or when he gets up, look for him when he's getting tired and doesn't have as much energy because he had to fight off Dobson on his back on top of him. But if he doesn't do that and he tries to trade with Petrosian, then I think it's going to be a long night because Petrosian is easily the better striker on the feet because of the leg kicks and the striking ability that he offers. To where I feel Dobson's all about just like the knockout blow with the overhand shots that he uses to clinch up. So it's going to be a very intriguing matchup. I could see it going either way. But I'm going to go with Petrosian by 3rd round knockout here. I feel like if Dobson does clinch up, he's going to eventually get tired standing and trying to train and wing the shots, and then that's where I feel like he's going to get caught and put to the mat. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dobson went against what we think he's going to do, and then he grapples with Petrosian and pulls off the upset.
Yeah, man, this is one of those fights. This is one of the first fights on the card where I was like, this could go either way. There are so many on this fight that
Yeah.
I was like kind of iffy with my decision. Even the main event, I'm still kind of debating on where I want to go with that one.
Yeah.
But there's so many on this card that could really go either way.
Definitely so, and that's one of those toss-up ones. Depend on how they come into the matchup.
Right.
But if I had to pick somebody right away, right now, I'd go with the known commodity and Petrosian.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did too. There's
Yeah.
more tape on Petrosian than there was Dobson.
Yep. Let's move on to the next matchup. We got a welterweight bout between Abukar Nurmagomedov going up against Gachi Markaziev. Of course, Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and who do you have winning?
This is another one that could kind of go either way, in my opinion. And this may be the battle for the longest name in the UFC between these two guys, because there's so many letters in each of their names.
Yeah.
But I do like this matchup a lot. I'm going to go with Abukar in this one. He's good on his feet, has a reach advantage, and he's also good on the ground, whereas Godzi is good with submissions, but at time fails to put in the combinations together. This one, like I said, could really go either way, but I'm going to go with Abukar by decision. I think he puts out just a little bit more and is a little more active on the feet than Godzi is. And he's got that, they both have that Sambo background, but I feel like Babukar is going to get the win.
Yeah, of course. Abubakar is the black sheep of the Nurmagomedov clan, in my opinion. He is strike first and then grappling later.
Yeah.
There's always been talks about why he does it, because Habib has the style of he wants to grapple up, take minimal damage as possible, and then to win that way by just grappling his opponents and mitigating what they do. Whereas his cousin Abukar is the opposite. He wants to trade shots with them. He wants to have that exciting fight. He throws a lot of leg kicks. He focuses on the kickboxing style. Of course, you've seen him and you've seen Usman. That's what they like to do. They throw the different type of leg kicks, different variations, and then they go for takedowns when up close. And then but they don't have that much of the hand striking. It's all about the leg kicks and the grappling. Whereas Gachi is, just like you said, he has the Sambo background, grappling, jiu-jitsu, and then the submission background to him. He likes to get the fight to the ground, either looking to take the back of his opponent or to ground and pound them and finish him that way. And he's all about like the clinch game along the fence. So it's a matter of, can Nurmagomedov keep the fight standing and striking with them, or if Gachi's going to take the fight down? Because if they get to the ground, I feel like Gachi's going to have the advantage there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I'm going to go with him by a unanimous decision victory. In this matchup, we've seen guys be able to strike with Gachi. In his last fight against Kai Barao, Kai Barao was able to use those leg kicks and grapple with them and outpoint him. And then he was able to finish him by, I believe it was by submission, actually, later on in the fight. But he was just able to outpoint him with the karate style and with the kickboxing background. Abubakar can look at the tape and then instill some of that same game plan against Gachi. So that's why I'm going with him by decision.
I totally agree with you. And the thing that like a lot of people I don't think recognize with like the Sambo style takedowns is there's a lot of body work. It's not a traditional wrestler where they're going to take you down by the legs. If you look at Islam, when we're going to talk about him later, he's going to wrap up the body. So it negates a lot of the submission attempts. So it was so weird to see Kaio get that submission. But his karate, like you said, this karate background kind of walked him into that submission. So either way, I mean, it's an interesting fight. I never had that on my bingo card, those two fighting each other, but I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, and those leg kicks are going to pay dividends for him as the fight
Absolutely.
go on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could negate the shoots.
yeah, because he'll probably slow him down, and yeah, but the pace, those Magomedovs have a great pace, so
Yeah,
I give the advantage to him in that department as well.
likewise.
Moving on to the next fight on the prelims, we got a men's lightweight matchup between newcomer Yamato Nishikawa going up against Magomed Mustafayev, aka the Sniper. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and who you got winning?
Yeah, I think that this is a really tough debut for Nishikawa, who is riding a 14 fight winning streak at only 19 years old. So like that's a
Yes,
crazy stat right there. He's coming in on short notice, but is fighting a fighter who has been out for the last 2 years. So Nishikawa is kind of walking into a tough matchup, but a gettable matchup. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because he's been inactive for so long, and Nishikawa is new, so there's a lot there to this one. And like the first thing I looked at was Nishikawa's history, and lately he's been fighting at 170. So he's been fighting at welterweight, and his last weigh-in was 153. So like
yeah,
he's fighting guys bigger than him and still giving up 20,
yeah.
maybe 30 pounds. So there's a lot there, and he's been utilizing his grappling a lot. Mustafayev has good stand up and great sambo, which could really wear Nishikawa down. We don't know what his camp looks like. We don't know, if he's coming in, 100%. But so I'm going to go with Mustafayev in this one by decision. I think there's a lot of question marks with Yamato Nishikawa, but I would really like to see him with a full camp. Um, if he comes in a full camp and looks impressive in this, or well, if he
Yeah.
comes in looking impressive in this fight, I'd sign him because he's racked up 14 wins in a row. This
Yeah.
dude might be the real deal.
Well, I believe he just fought too. Yeah, he just fought
Yeah, for
3 weeks
3 weeks ago.
ago. So it's not like he's not ready. I feel like for it. I feel like with the fact that he just fought, I think that might play in his favor compared
Yeah, I mean
to
he's definitely more active.
compared to a guy like Magomed who hasn't fought in almost 2-3 years and was training for a whole different type of fighter than Nishikawa.
Right. I might
But
put a couple dollars on Nishikawa, to be
yeah,
honest with you. That plus 400 is looking pretty appetizing.
but style wise, you got Mustafayev. He's a southpaw fighter. Got the wrestling, striking BJJ background. Good body kicks, calf kicks, and side kicks. He has a high finish rate. He has bad striking defense and needs to improve his cardio. Then you got Nishikawa. I feel like he's all on the Tetsura Taira type of way with the fighters coming over
Yeah.
from Asia. He has a kickboxing and BJJ background. Likes to grapple up, get the fight to the ground, and then he's a submission hunter, a la Tetsura Taira. Very aggressive with what he does. He has a good ground and pound. He likes to switch stances a lot, and he likes to mix in the kicks with his jabs. Those are his go-to strikes, and everything that he does is predicated on getting to the inside and looking for the submission entries. And normally I would go Mustafayev with the background that he has, but seeing how he was looking before he went on the long hiatus, like he was competing with guys, but he was always leaving himself open for big shots and to be able to be grappled. I looked at the one big fight with Brad Riddell where they went to split
Yeah.
decision in of course I believe it was Perth. I believe the fight was where he had chances to win, but he was just getting tired out later in that fight, and Brad Riddell was able to outstrike Mustafayev because Mustafayev was constantly trying to take him down, constantly trying to pressure up on him and get the fight to the ground. And if he does that with Nishikawa, I feel like he could make a mistake and Nishikawa could slip to the back of him and make him tap. But when it comes to striking, I get the advantage to Nishikawa because of the
I agree.
kickboxing, because he's more polished with his hands. He likes to mix in leg kicks early and often. Of course, the kickboxing background, And if this is a situation where they're on their feet the whole time, Mustafayev has the knockout power, but Nishikawa has the polished attack and would win by volume, I feel like. And that's why I'm going Nishikawa by decision here. I believe he could win by sub, but I think he's just going to outpoint Mustafayev and avoid the long grappling exchanges. Because if he gets into that could make the fight go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I like this kid, number one. I watched some of his tape, and I had him I had him written down like this is who I want.
Yeah.
But there's just something like Mustafayev is training with killers at Jackson Wink, and he's coming in. He's going to be coming in condition. And you looked at the Brad Riddell fight, but I looked at the fight before that with his win over Rafael Fiziev, who's surging right now. So that's a pretty impressive win under his belt. But like I said, man, give me more Yamato and Nishikawa in the future. I want this kid in the UFC. I want him fighting in 3 months with a full camp.
But if you look at that fight was almost 3-4 years ago.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And I believe that was the fight in Russia. And then since then, Rafael Fiziev had made changes to his game where he started to throw a lot more leg kicks and then throwing like the overhand shots in the jab, the secondary, and he was like being more refined. And of course, Mustafayev lost to Brad Riddell and then has disappeared for the last 2-3 years. So we don't even know how he's going to look coming in. He could be rusty for all we know, or he could be added something to his game plan. It's just we don't know that, so it's kind of like up in the air.
Yeah, this is the most what if fight on this card. Yeah. Like there's a lot of question marks surrounding both fighters.
Moving on to the next fight on the prelim, we got a men's featherweight matchup between Sabaru Tugugov going up against Lucas Almeida. We got the Warrior, Sabaru, and we got Almeida. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be fun. Both have a ton of power with 16 knockouts between the two. I feel like this one could go down to who controls the ground the longest. Almeida has really good jiu-jitsu, while Tugulov has been able to work fighters into decisions by controlling the ground and pound with his takedowns. But I'm going to go with the underdog in this one. I don't think we've seen a lot of Lucas Almeida, which drops him down further in the rankings. I think he's got like 2 or 3 UFC fights, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to take Lucas Almeida by decision. But again, this is one of those fights that could really go either way.
We've seen how explosive Lucas Almeida can get. He was pouring in on the Contender Series fight against, of course, Daniel Zellhuber before he started to tire out in the second round, and then Zellhuber wind up taking over and getting the finish there. But then he came in against Mike Trezano and then just showcased his power with his shots. He was able to hit the combinations, and I believe he knocked down Trezano not once, not twice, but 3 times, and finally got the finish in the 3rd round. But he's all about the volume game, the combinations. He has had bricks for hands. And then you got Sabara, who has that interesting background where he has kickboxing and sambo, which you don't see that often, where he mixes it in. So he's going to have that grappling side of things to negate Lucas Almeida. We just have to see how Almeida can do defending the takedown, because I feel like Sabara is going to primarily try and use the grappling because his kickboxing is good. But if he's looking to trade with Almeida, I feel like he's going to be in for a long day of healing after he gets knocked out. And that's why I'm leaning towards Lucas Almeida by 2nd round knockout. I'm going with the underdog here. I do think that Tugugov has a chance to grapple with him, take him to the mat, and then win him by decision, possibly submission. But I feel like just the hands of Almeida and the pace that he fights with the knockout power, I feel like he's going to be able to pour in volume, negate the transitions to the clinch, and he's going to keep it staying in all fight.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to what we talked about with Gachi and Abukar.
Yeah,
Um, this is BJJ versus Sambo, and again, a lot
yeah,
of the Sambo grapplers go for that body lock instead of working the legs, so it negates a lot of the choke attempts. And if if Zubar, if Zubaria can kind of keep himself away from putting his head close to arm's length and control himself in the middle of the body, he has a really good chance of grinding out a decision. But I'm with you on this one. We both went underdog. That's two underdogs for you back to back. Look at you, getting risky with your bets, a little daring.
yep. Gotta get risky sometimes.
Sometimes you got to get risky.
Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We got a men's light heavyweight matchup between Volkan No Time Oldsmere going up against Nikita the Miner Krylov. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
I would have said about a year ago I wouldn't have cared about this matchup because they were both kind of like declining. They were losing, weren't really putting on the most entertaining fights. But this is another one that could go either way. They have my attention. I counted both of these fighters out the last time out, and I was proven wrong. I'm going with Krylov in this one. I think he'll have a harder matchup than he did against Gustafsson, but I do think he'll keep his distance to avoid Volkan's power shots. Again, I think this could go either way, but I'm going to see Nikita Krylov walking away with a decision win.
Yeah, they both have jiu-jitsu backgrounds and they both grapple up a little bit, but these two guys are all about the stand-up. Vulcan has a big boxing background with quick hands, knockout power. You saw him hurt Yuri Prochaska in their fight before Yuri was able to take over and finish him. And then you saw him do good against Paul Craig. He was able to defend the takedowns, throw the combinations, hurt him with the big shots, and got the victory there. But then on the same card, you saw Nikita Krylov beat Alexander Gustafsson, and he was able to finish him. He has that karate background. He can throw the leg kicks and the strikes. He was able to fight Paul Craig. He was getting the better of him. Had the ground and pound, made that one mistake of leaving his arms open, and then he was triangled late in the first round. So Paul Craig wound up coming from behind to beat him. But other than that, you look at the losses that Krylov has had. He's had 4 losses in the last 7 fights, but they're all to top 10 fighters, and 3 of them are by submission. He has 9 losses overall. 6 of the 9 are by submission. So he's been prone to guys with the submission backgrounds that can grapple and lock him up in submissions and make him tap. And that's something he's not going to have to worry about with Volkan, because Volkan's all about the standing up and throwing, trying to knock him out or out volume him. And I feel like Nikita Krylov can grapple up with them, get the fight into gritty situations, push him up against the cage, throw the ease and elbows, or he can push sharp and use that karate background to throw the different leg kicks and shots from a distance to try and out volume Vulcan, who is known for being able to outshoot guys. This fight could go either way depending on how they both wind up a game plan for it, but I'm going to go with Krylov by KO round 1. I think he could catch Vulcan early on with a shot, because Vulcan takes time to get going with his striking, whereas Krylov starts out pretty fast in fights.
Yeah, I mean, this one, again, this is a tough one. This was a tough matchup for either one of them, but I'm right there with you, man. I agree with every point that you made. So I can't complain.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
count
all
on you.
about it's with the Nikita. It's all about get going right away and catching Volcom before he can even get started. That's going to be the
Yeah,
game plan for him.
right.
Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We have a men's middleweight matchup between Makhmudov going up against Kai, the Natural Brawlo. Jim, what's your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning?
Well, this is great matchup number one. I feel like we've talked about Kaio so much in this card
Yeah.
already. because he's faced, a lot of the people on there. But I'm going to take him in this one. I'm taking Caio Borralho in this one. Muradov has great stand-up with 17 knockouts. He's got good takedown defense, but he can be subbed. Caio has great BJJ and evolving stand-up. He's got that karate background. It's getting crisper. It would benefit Caio to get the fight to the ground and wear Muradov down to slow his striking in later rounds if needed. But if Caio wants to trade, I see him losing this one. Mahmoud has killer stand-up. I mean, he's got a ton of knockouts. Like I said, 17. He's got 17 knockouts. So he could catch him. But I'm gonna go with Caio by this second round submission win. I think he's gonna get him down and keep him down.
And he's one of those strange fighters that have the kickboxing and sambo combo background. Yep. This is a first for me where I see more than one guy with that combination background on the same card. So just like you said, he has power. He has a high finishing rate. He can grapple with you. He likes to use the forward movement to get the takedowns or to use his striking while his opponents are moving back to get the forward movement. But Kai Borralho he's one of the very few guys that use the karate stance. He likes to throw the different karate kicks, spinning kicks. He has a good jab, a good overhand shot. But he's all about keeping the distance away with his striking so he can get into the range and land, get out of range. But then when his opponents get close, he can grapple up with his BJJ. He can throw them down to the mat or take the back of them and then look for the submissions. He's been able to use that against a couple big-time grapplers. So look here, Decision Petrosian with his takedowns. He was able to do the same thing. Gachi, KO, and then KO decision. But he does have that range to where he can take the back of you and choke you out. Yep. But in this matchup, I feel like what he's going to do is he's going to use the stand-up game. He's going to out-volume Makhmud. And when Makhmud tries to come in and close the distance, that's when he's going to shoot and take down Makhmud Muradov, because Muradov's going to expect him to try and trade shots, stand, and then that's when Kai's going to use the grappling as a secondary mechanism to take the fight to the mat and then to control him there, because he has good control on the mat. He knows how to keep the position, throw when needed to keep the ref from standing him up. And he's a very complete fighter in my opinion. Other than knockout power, which we don't see much from him, he can throw leg kicks. He can throw the counter left and right. He can take you down and then the transition from position to position on the mat while holding you down. So with that, I got Kai Borralho by decision in this one.
This might be the first time you picked Caio. I think this is the first time you've actually picked Caio in our fight breakdowns. I'm excited.
I've actually
on the train.
I've actually picked him in every fight. To be honest.
No, you didn't pick him against Petrosian.
Oh no, I did.
I'm gonna go back and watch the tape. I'm gonna watch the tape.
I have the Tapology proof to prove it when we go off, but
I'm not talking Tapology because sometimes you switch them up, my friend. I know your game.
Not much, but that's a different story. But
yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a nice matchup with him going up against Muradov, but I'm still leaning towards Kai Borralho.
Yeah, who would have thought that Armen Petrosian isn't his toughest matchup to date? This is going to be the toughest matchup in my opinion.
Yeah, especially with the power and the stylistic, with the sambo moving forward and the kickboxing. I think the difference will be the fact that Muradov likes to move forward and likes to pressure his opponents. And we got to see how Kai Borralho does when he's moving backwards instead of when he's the one controlling the middle of the octagon.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of question marks, too.
Let's move on to the main event of the prelim. We got a men's welterweight matchup between Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, going up against Sean Brady. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
I kind of prefaced this in our warm up. On any other card, this is a co-main event, main event. And here we are talking about it as a prelim main event. I love this matchup. Muhammad is super durable with really good wrestling and pacing. He does a great job at keeping himself active and not wearing himself down. Brady has great BJJ. He's got sneaky striking. This one was so tough to pick, man. And this is kind of like the next like 5 or 6 fights. This is the trend. It was very tough for me to pick, but I'm going to lean towards Sean Brady. I think I'm giving him the hometown discount because he's from Philly, and I see him in like a Gary Barbera commercial here and there, trying
Yeah.
to sell me cars. But I'm going to go with Sean Brady. Both are coming in off of big wins. I think Brady's going to control the ground, which is going to give him a little more favor in the judges' eyes, and it's going to give him a decision win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bilal won this. He's obviously top 5 fighter, but I'm going to go with Sean Brady in this one.
Yeah, below Muhammad's coming in with the wrestling background. He has good BJJ, but he's all about the pacing. He has great cardio. He likes to move around. He game plans well on his feet. He knows how to get inside and then back out before getting hit. He has good. He has a good jab, good overhand hooks. He has good leg kicks. He likes to mix it up a lot. But what I like about him is his takedowns. He takes in the Stephen Thompson fight, he was able to incorporate different takedowns: the single leg, the double leg. He does his research. He sees what his opponent's weak on, and then he uses that within his grappling tendencies to get the fight to the mat and to do a little bit of control and ground and pound. And then, of course, the Luque fight, his game plan was take him down when he could, go to the outside, fake with the transitions from, and then to throw shots at him, and then to keep on circling, moving outward. He has a guy in Sean Brady with the Muay Thai background. He likes to throw the overhand knockout shots and then the leg kicks. But other than that, his striking is really just I wouldn't say elementary, but it's very standard. Where he's he's going to throw the calf kick, occasional body kick, and he's going to throw the knockout overhand shots to the head, and then he looks to grapple up with you a ton. But we saw in the last fight against Chiesa where he started to get tired towards the end in round 2 and 3, where he's a fast starter, but then he starts to get tired, and then that's when Chiesa started to take over, and he was able to still win the fight because of the early work that he did. But it presents a challenge for him going up against a guy in Muhammad who has great cardio, great movement, and might be a guy that can out grapple him, or if he wants to keep the fight standing, to just out volume him. So that's why I'm going with below Muhammad by decision.
Oh, okay, nice. I think this might be the second one on the card that we've gone against each other.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a tight matchup. I'm pretty sure it's near even in terms of odds. Definitely looking forward to that fight.
Yep. It's definitely one of the ones that I penciled in to really examine and watch when it happens.
Me too. It's a big step up in competition. Well, no, Chiesa's a good opponent for Sean
Yeah.
Brady too, but this is top 10, or I mean top 5. So it's a good matchup.
Moved on to the next fight on the main card. This is the main card opener. We got a women's flyweight matchup between Caitlin, blonde fighter Chukagan, going up against Manon the Beast Barrow. Jim, what's your thoughts on this main card fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I think that this is another great matchup. Again, Dana, Sean, Hunter, they all did a fantastic job, making these fights. But Chukagian has been playing the role of like a hype train spoiler. Can't say gatekeeper because she's top 1, top 2 in the division. So she's playing this like hype train derailer. But she hasn't faced a striker like Fierro in a long time. Fierro is taking a massive step up in competition and could see a potential title shot in her future if she wins this. And I'm going to go with her. I'm going to go with Mana Fierro in this one, but I think Chukagian's grappling could be the difference maker if this fight goes to the ground. If this stays standing, I have Fierro winning by volume, but if it goes to the ground, again, Chukagian's going to walk away with the win. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards Mana Fierro by decision.
Caitlin has the box and BJJ background. We all know her because she likes to attack every part of her opponent's body. She looks for the leg, the body, and the head. She likes to spread it off so she can systematically slow down her opponent. She'll grapple up when needed and try and take the fight down if she feels like she's not going to be the better striker. And that's why she's in the top 5 in the division because of her striking. She tends to put out a lot of volume, and she can outwork her opponent, and she has good cardio. But then you got Manon Fiorot. She's very tall for the division. She has that long length and reach that she uses. Karate background. She has BJJ. She's been incorporating a lot of wrestling into her background ever since joining the UFC. Yep. She's been working with the coaches to defend and then to initiate wrestling into her game plan so that she can be more of a complete fighter. But she's predicated on the karate. She throws those wide leg kicks, of course, that she throws to the body and the leg. She has the jab and the hooks and even uppercut that she throws from weird angles. She just has knockout power. She just presents the different style. She's one of those fighters in the French team that just is a killer. And we've seen that. We've seen Tabitha Ritchie move up to the division and then move back down because she got beat up by her. And if you look at the people that she's fought, that she's just like outfought. She beat Jennifer Meyer, beat her in a good fight. Myra Brenda Silva, she destroyed her. Tabitha Ritchie, of course, and then Leonardo. It was her opening fight, and then got Campo right before she moved up. She has that knockout power, and it's the unique style. Like you look there, she for once isn't going to be the taller fighter, and she's going to have a smaller reach, but the rate that she works at, and then the leg kicks that she throws, this is going to be a close fight, I feel like, because if there's a fighter that can really challenge Manon Fiorot, it's going to be Chukagian.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on this one. I got Manon Fiorot, and I got it by decision, just because I feel like she'll be able to stuff the takedowns, and then I feel like she's going to be able to just edge Chukagian out in the volume count because of the leg kicks. I feel like she's going to be better at the distance game, whereas I feel like Chukagian usually will be better at distance, but she's going to look to get up close to mitigate the striking of Fiorot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Look for body shots from Fierro too, to kind of go the Jessica Andrade route. Win her matchup against Chukagian, where it was I think it was a knockout via body shot.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good thing to see. And with Chukagian, it's gonna be like, if Chukagian can win this, like where does that thrust her? I feel like there's kind of an urgency for her to win because she wants to keep that spot. Whereas Manon Fiorot, she's on the move up. She can afford to lose this matchup, and so she can come in and just fight her game. Whereas Chukagian, she needs to win this fight, and if she doesn't, she can only move down from here. So I feel like she's going to be more urgent and force a little bit early on, where I feel like Manon Fiorot won't, and she'll just stick to her game plan.
Yeah, and hats off to Caitlin for taking this matchup. She could have sat tight and waited for the Talia Santos and Shevchenko rematch potential, and then get the winner of that. But she's wants to stay active, and that could be a good or a bad thing. We saw that with JoJo Wood a while ago, where she was going to be next in line, and she went out and took that fight and lost. So hats off to Caitlin for being ballsy and stepping up.
Yep. let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We got a men's lightweight matchup between Benny Dariush going up against Betrus Gamrot. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you got winning?
Well, I don't like either one of their nicknames. I don't think they're creative, but I understand them. I like this matchup a lot. I'm going to go with Gamrot in this one, but it's going to be a close fight. Dariush is coming back from an injury, but was on a roll before that, and was showing all facets of his game. He was tapping people out. He was knocking people out. He was grinding out decision wins. Gamrot has been more active. He's looked sharper in his last few fights. He's a very dangerous fighter. This could either be a war on the feet or a chess match where they both respect each other's power and their MMA IQ, or they could just go balls to the wall and just throw hands. But I'm going to go with Gamrot by decision. This could also be a split decision, but I'm going to go with Gamrot. But wouldn't be surprised if Benny won this one because he's a monster.
This is going to be a very tough fight because Benil Dariush is a killer. He has the Muay Thai background, of course. He has knockout power. He has good leg kicks. He has a good hand striking as well. He has good pace. He has some good competition. But just like you said, the big thing with this concern-wise is the injury that he's coming off of. He was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev, then he got hurt a week before the fight. So I don't know how he's looking health-wise coming into this because this is right off of the injury. So we don't know how percent-wise he is. If he's 100%, then good. But if he's 80%, that's going to be a big concern. But he has the tools to win. And I remember the fight against Jakar Close where he got rocked. And it's that just killer mentality that he has in him that got him the comeback in the fight to swing and to catch Jakar Close and to finish him in that fight, to come back and win that when he was at the grasp of defeat. But because he wanted it so much that he was able to win. And he does have grappling with him too, but he's primarily just like a point fighter with his shots that just tend to knock people out. Then you got Gamrot, who is heavy on the wrestling. He does have striking, but his striking is at the means to grapple up with his opponents. You saw the matchup against Roman Sarukian where he was able to take down Sarukian 4 or 5 times. I felt like the whole fight he was shooting for takedowns at him. High cardio for days. He has high pace. Like he's always constantly moving, always constantly going at the opponent, whereas just landing strikes from range, 1 or 2 at a time, or throwing a strike to then change levels to go for a takedown. And then he has a submission entries that are just so good as well. He can get behind. You saw the fight against Jeremy Stevens where he was able to shoot once, jump on top of him, and got the submission within 50 seconds. He has that capability here. But I feel like what he's going to do is he's going to look to grapple up with Dariush, avoid the shots, take him down repeatedly, and then look to ground and pound and control him on the mat, knowing that it's 3 rounds. So I'm going with Matus Gamrot by decision over Dariush. Dariush does have that knockout power, but I feel like Gamrot's going to be able to mitigate it with his wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. You said it perfectly.
Let's move on to the next fight here on UFC 280's main card. After this matchup, we'll wait for a second. We got a matchup between Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley in the bantamweight division. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Just like I said about Caitlin Chikagian staying active and taking a risky fight, again, hats off to Peter Yan for being ballsy and taking, the 11th ranked Sean O'Malley. This fight is really the fight that everyone is talking about. And it's a true test for Sean O'Malley. This gives me, flashbacks to the Cheeto Barrow fight where, that was like the most skilled MMA, mixed martial artist that he had fought up to date. I don't see Jan taking this to the mat. I think he'd be foolish to take it to the mat just because of how long Sean is. I see him trying to knock O'Malley out, which could play into Sean's hand. Sean is a longer and taller fighter, so his use of kicks and distance fighting would benefit him and force John to push forward, setting up that counter left that we all know O'Malley is capable of landing. This was a tough one again because O'Malley is very unpredictable, and when you count him out, he wins. But I'm going to go with Peter Yan in this one by decision. This was my first kind of like put an asterisk next to it because I wasn't 100% with this one. But I'm going to go Peter Yan by decision. I think he's got the higher level MMA right now, as far as not MMA, but like resume than Sean O'Malley. So I'm going to go with Peter Yan.
Yeah, Peter Yan has the Muay Thai, kickboxing, and BJJ background. He has high pace. He tends to start out slow in fights and then picks up, but he likes to mix up the leg kicks to the body and the leg with his jab and overhand shots. His high volume rate, as you've seen, he's done a lot of main event fights, so he does have that experience with the cardio and just the pace. But then you got Sean O'Malley, who has come in. He has the kickboxing and BJJ background, just like you said. I think his BJJ is a little bit better than Jan, but Jan has the better kickboxing, in my opinion. Sean O'Malley's going to come in the taller fighter. He has the longer legs, so I see him throwing a lot of leg kicks to the calf, mix up the overhand shots, and use the range to his advantage to avoid Peter Yan. But I feel like the one elephant in the room that we know we talk about with Sugar Sean in every fight
leg kicks
is the leg kicks. We saw against, of course, Cheetah Vera. He threw a leg kick, had it checked, and that was the end of him in that fight due to injury. And then in his last fight against Pedro Munoz, he was losing because he couldn't defend the leg kick. Munoz just kept on throwing it, and it got Sean O'Malley off of his game, and it just seemed like he was confused. And once he started to get going in the second round, that's when the injury to Munoz happened. So he really didn't get a chance to go. And in a 3-round fight, especially against a guy like Peter Yan, you got to be on your game to take every chance that you have. The one good thing that he has, though, is the fact that Peter Yan starts out slow. He starts out slow and he builds up the pace. It's like Derrick Henry at the running back position. The more carries he gets, the better that he looks because he's getting the reps in. Yep. He's getting that just movement going, and that's the same thing in Peter Yan with MMA. He needs to get going to get that pace, and he could go all day. And then with all the factors there, I feel like Peter Yan's going to come in, throw the leg kicks early, slow down Sean O'Malley, and then that's when he's going to get his high-level boxing going. I got Peter Yan winning by decision in this one fight. I think Sean O'Malley has his chances if he can get going early, avoid the leg kicks, and then get his leg kicks going and just keep the range and keep the circular movement so that he out-volumes Peter Yan. But if he just stands there and takes the leg kicks like he usually does, I think he has no chance of winning. So I got Peter Yan.
You know, if there's any chance for any time for Sean O'Malley to win, it's this one. There's nothing to lose here. He's not going to lose his ranking if he loses this fight. So go out there and, execute your game plan. But like we said, sometimes you got to get risky. And sometimes he might have to do something that he's not used to doing or Peter's camp might not have predicted and go out there and showcase that BJJ. Maybe Sean shoots for a takedown. There could be a lot of things in this. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean wins this fight, to be honest with you, but I think Peter Yan's the right choice. He didn't look so good against Aljo his last time out, though, Yan.
He better be very aggressive against Peter Yan. He can't just sit back and wait and then throw leg kicks here and there. He needs to go after Peter Yan early, throw the leg kicks, go after him, get up close, see if he can throw within the clinch, use that height and range to his advantage.
Yeah.
especially in that clinch, because with him being a bigger fighter, he has the knees that he can work with. He can try and take them back of Peter Yan, get him up against the cage. A little this, a little that, just a little bit of the gritty action here. Something to throw Peter Yan off. Kind of like what happened again with, like you said, Peter Yan against Sterling. Sterling got to him early and got him off of his game plan, got him taken down, and kind of it wasn't until later on in round 4 and 5 that's when Peter Yan was able to pick up the pace and whatnot. But this is a 3-round fight,
Right.
so he doesn't have that capability taking advantage of the later rounds, because you got to get going right away or you're going to be down very quick.
Right. And Jan's got a really good chin, so it
Yeah.
would benefit Sean to just keep moving. Get this
Yep.
fight, like rack up as much damage as you can in those first 2 rounds.
Yep, but let's move on to this co-main event of the evening. We got the UFC Bantamweight Championship of the world between the champion Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling going up against TJ Dillashaw, his opponent. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight, and who do you have winning?
I don't know what to really say about this fight. I have a lot of opinions, but I'm going to try and stay
Yeah,
impartial on this one. I don't personally, what I will say is I don't think TJ deserved the matchups he's gotten since he's come back from suspension. And we know that Aljo's title reign has been without controversy, or hasn't been without controversy. TJ has good striking, great wrestling, but Aljo, I think, has better wrestling. He's got really good BJJ. He's a black belt under Matt Serra. He's training with durable guys like Marab who can go forever. And he has the ability to not get hit. Aljo has a really good ability of moving away from hits. TJ should look for head kicks more frequently in this fight, because that has been Aljo's weakness. We saw it with Marlon Moraes. We saw it at times against Corey Sandhagen. He is able to get kicked in the head, while Aljo should fight from distance and make TJ come to him. And as TJ comes to him, Aljo can work him to the cage and secure a takedown and kind of dominate, not dominate, but wear the fight down on the ground. I'm going to go with Aljo in this one. I think it's going to be less controversial win than his last 2 fights with Peter Yan. I don't think he's going to be an actor in this one and, fake an injury like a lot of people suspect it. So I'm going to take Aljo by decision.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Coming off that win over Peter Yan in the 2-fight saga that they had. But Sterling has the high-level jiu-jitsu background, wrestling background on top of it. He mixes in the leg kicks and the overhand shots on the feet. But it's primarily him trying to get the fight grappled up into the ground. That's where he looks to get. Or he likes to take the back of his opponents and ride him and look for the submissions.
Yeah.
Whereas TJ Dillashaw has the kickboxing background, of course, the wrestling background. He's looking to mix up the leg kicks with his hands. He has a good jab. He has good calf kick, a good body kick. He has knockout power. He has great cardio. He showcased that in his past fights. And he showed a lot of initiation in the Corey Sandhagen fight, where he was able to adjust in the fight and get the fight to the cage, where he would press up Sandhagen against the cage to get himself gathered after he got rocked, and then he just used that to his advantage, just pushing up, holding him against the cage, throwing elbows, throwing knees, and we saw Corey Sandhagen use that in his fight a month ago in his fight against Yadong Sung, because of what happened to him. And that's all because of what he took against Dillashaw. But Dillashaw has high volume, high rate. He likes to move forward. And I think in this matchup, what's going to be the dictating point of this is if Dillashaw can stuff the takedowns of Sterling and keep the fight standing where they're kind of trained shots, or if Sterling can avoid the big knockout blows that Dillashaw would throw, and he can dictate his fight game plan over Dillashaw. It's just going to be Dillashaw trying to stand up against Sterling, or it's going to be Sterling looking to grapple up with Dillashaw and get the fight to the ground. But also with it being 5 rounds, we got to see how Sterling looks to manage his gas tank. We saw in the first fight against Peter Yan, he
Yeah.
did too much of a volume, and then on top of that, tried to grapple up and he would get stuffed, and it wore his gas tank out. Whereas in the second fight, he kind of managed the shots, kept it kind of low, but enough to steer rounds 1 and 2. And then that's where he started to then grapple up with Yan, and he didn't start to slow down until he had the victory. And Peter Yan keeps him moving all fight. There's going to be easier holes in him being able to like stay even keel against Dillashaw. Dillashaw has a high rate, but it's not the same rate as Peter Yan. So I feel like that Peter Yan fights are going to pay dividends for him against a guy like Dillashaw. And that's why I'm going with Aljamain Sterling in this matchup by decision.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The difference between the first Peter Yan fight and the second Peter Yan fight was that the first Peter Yan fight, Aljo was the challenger and he needed to get the belt. The second one, he was the champion, so he could fight his own fight. I see Aljo taking Israel Adesanya's route against Jared Cannonier, where it's more of a defensive fight. He's going to do what he needs to do to score enough with the judges, and he's going to have to force his opponent to be active and to be desperate. So this is TJ. TJ has to dominate this fight to win. He's got to knock him out, submit him, or overpower him. Aljo can sit back, fight from distance, and get the championship nod. So, TJ has to be spectacular in this one. We have to have championship TJ from before his suspension. I know he's been talking like, no one took my belt. Well, you took your belt from yourself, my friend. You did something wrong. Yet you lost your belt because you made a bad decision. And how long have you been making bad decisions? I don't know. Hopefully he's not making bad decisions. And to your point about the Corey Sandhagen fight, unpopular opinion, I think Corey Sandhagen won that fight.
Yeah, and I think in the matchup, TJ Dillashaw is going to want to look to keep the fight distance, whereas he's not going to be routinely looking to grapple up along the cage, because then that gives advantages to Sterling, where he could reverse position and then look to drag him down with the body lock to leg trip, or he can just drag him to the mat, and then that's where Aljamain Sterling has the huge advantage on the mat.
Yeah, and TJ really thrives in emotional fights, like his fights with Cody Garbrandt when there was bad blood. There's no bad blood between these guys. They maybe don't like each other because they're in the same weight class, but they're not throwing rocks at each other's houses. They're not talking bad about each other in the media. They just want to fight.
They just don't like each other. It's bad when they arrived at Fight Island and you see Aljamain Sterling talk to Peter Yan, and they're in good spirits with each other, because it was a spirit of competition between the two. Whereas with Sterling and Dillashaw, they just don't like each other for whatever reason it is. Dillashaw thinks that Sterling is overrated, and then Sterling doesn't like the attitude of Dillashaw, and he thinks he didn't deserve it. But he's gonna have to. But he says he's gonna have to defeat him to prove it.
Well, I mean, whether he deserves it or not isn't the question. Aljo called him out. You know what I mean? Aljo got emotional when he won against Peter Yan and said, TJ Dillashaw, where you're at. TJ was in the front row. The only other person who hasn't fought for that title is Sandhagen and Merab. And Merab is Aljo's training partner. They're not going to fight each other. And it was really that experience that you're talking about where where Aljo ran into Peter. Merab was right there. They could fight at any minute. If Peter wins this fight, Merab could fight him next. And they were all very, cordial. And I like to see that. No bad blood.
Yeah. Yep. But let's move on to the main event evening. We got the men's lightweight championship matchup for the vacant lightweight belt. It's going to be contested between Charles the Bronx Oliveira, the former champion, and Islam Makhachev. What are your thoughts on this main event? And who do you have winning?
Yeah, this one was tough, and like I said earlier, I'm still kind of on the a seesaw with this one. But if you ask Charles Oliveira, he's still the champ. He didn't lose it. He lost it
Yeah,
to the scales. That's the only thing. And a lot of people are worried about this fight in terms of the weight cuts. Um, with Charles coming in overweight last fight, Islam and his camp have history of you know crazy weight cuts and dangerous weight cuts. And it got to the point that they brought in Alexander Volkanovski, the 145 champion, to come in here and be the
yeah,
alternate. Which either way, I want to see Volkanovski fight both of these guys at some point.
yeah,
But I think that this is a great matchup. You have BJJ versus Sambo. Both have stand-up that can keep their opponents moving back. But this fight features two expert level grapplers. Oliveira hasn't been beaten or has been unbeaten since 2018, while Islam hasn't been beaten in 7 years. This one comes down to the gas tank and control time, in my opinion. Islam gets the fight to the ground. It could wear down Charles while he works for submissions and escapes. And it goes back to what I was saying. That body work that Islam and these Russian Sambo guys do could negate a lot of those chokes that Charles is known for. But we have seen Charles get chokes in unprecedented positions. So Charles is dangerous wherever he goes. The same could be said for Islam in the sense of if he's taken down, Charles is very good on the ground. This one's really tough, but I'm going to go with Islam by decision. Um, I'm wavering towards Charles too because I really like Charles. I think Islam's wrestling and his head placement again could negate that guillotine from Oliveira. But if it stays standing, Charles has the advantage of winning by submission because he could get on you like a backpack and choke you out standing, or he can knock you out. Either way, this is going to be a hell of a fight. And if they don't do a rematch, I want Volkanovski to fight the winner, 100%. But right now, at this moment, when we're recording, I'm going Islam Makhachev by decision.
this is going to be a doozy of a fight, and it's 5 rounds. So on top of that, that makes it even better. Just like you said, you got the contrasting styles. Not only does Charles Oliveira have that high level BJJ, but he also has that kickboxing style. You see
Yeah,
the front kick and then the side kicks that he likes to throw. He's started to incorporate them in the last few fights in his title defenses. But then he's one of the best at using the BJJ to get the fight to the mat, and then he can find any submission position, wear his opponents out, and then submit him. And you've seen that in the past couple fights against high level opponents. He's been able to withstand those knockout shots. Fighters are scared to go down in the clinch with them when he's on the mat, so they just have him stand back up, and then he takes advantage of like a wrong strike or throw, and he grapples up with them, and he takes their back like a backpack, and he pulls them to the mat. But then you got Islam Makhachev, a high level Sambo background. He's one of Habib's best students in fight camp. He uses the Sambo background, BJJ. He has a little bit of striking, but he doesn't do enough striking though. If there's a weakness with him, it's that.
yeah,
And one of the things that I've seen with him is he tends to use his grappling as a high pace. He was able to out grapple Arman Sarukian, but that was a high level back and forth fight where he just won because of he had a couple more takedowns. Then he's had the past couple fights where he beat Bobby Green on short notice very easily. Then you had Dan Hooker. He was able to take him down right away and submit him. Moises, he submitted him, but that was a lot of people don't realize how well of a matchup Moises gave
yeah, that was
him
a great matchup.
in a takedown defense rate. And he was actually striking good with them. It's just that Moises isn't known for striking, so it was him kind of like playing just like keep them at even keel because he was stuffing the takedowns, but then both of them don't strike good, so it was like a low level matchup there. And of course, Drew Dober, he just out wrestled Dober and then beat Davi Ramos. So in reality, Islam Makhachev hasn't been tested by
Right.
the guys in the top half of the division. Where, as you see here, Oliveira beat Gagey by submission, Poirier by submission, Chandler by KO, Ferguson by decision, and Kevin Lee by submission. So 5 guys that at the time were in that top 10, 4 that have been in the top 5, and he's fought the who's who, and he's kind of been able to had just like Jan Jahovic and whatnot, had like a renaissance in the latter half of his career because he's changing the game plan instead of just standing there and trying to trade. He does it, but he knows that he needs to get the fight to the mat and use his grappling to his advantage. And one of the keys, like I said before, will be that front kick to the face that he uses to throw at Makhachev. Makhachev could catch it, but it comes out of nowhere. Oliveira is going to have the reach advantage, and he needs to throw from range. He needs to throw the leg kick, to throw the front kick to the face. He needs to throw those the jab, overhand shots. He needs to get up early with his striking, and he needs to use the range. He needs to let Islam come at him and kind of be more the counter guy, and to kind of initiate guard with Makhachev. You might see Oliveira drop guard on him to see if Makhachev is true to his word, where he said he's not afraid to go into to the mat with him. He has to test him there. You might see that early where he drops guard and works in positions with Makhachev where he tries to get in a triangle choke, or he tries to work with him on the mat, and he works with him there. And then if Makhachev does it and does it well, then you might see him to switch game plans and then to look to move around and do a lot more striking from a distance, because Makhachev doesn't throw too much. He's all about closing distance and getting the takedown. And I'm going with Charles Oliveira in this one. And you'd be surprised. I'm going to go with him by round 4 submission. I think he has the better cardio in the long run. He has the experience at going 5 rounds the last 4 or 5 fights, whereas Makhachev has only done 2 main event fights, but let's just say the Bobby Green one was not a main event because he finished him fast, because Bobby Green took it on a week's notice. So I really only kept the Moises fight as a main event fight, and I feel like Makhachev hasn't fought a fighter like Oliveira. Yeah, Moises is like Oliveira, but Moises doesn't have the kickboxing style or just the long length as he does.
Right.
And then just the known grapples, just like him. Like he can get a fighter in any range. And even though I think that Islam does have a good chance of winning because he can take him down with the double leg takedowns and then just hold him to the mat, I feel like the Bronx can counteract that with his legs on the mat, looking for submissions at all time, and he's constantly moving. He's constantly making sure that his opponent doesn't pin him down. And I feel like the longer the fight stands, the better it is for Oliveira.
Yeah, of the 2 fighters, I like Oliveira more than I like Makhachev. To your point, you're absolutely right. He hasn't been tested. The Bobby Green fight was short notice. The Dan Hooker fight was short notice as well. So, he dodged all the killers in that division, and even declining killers like Tony Ferguson. So he dodged everybody. This is an easy way to the top. I would love to see Oliveira get his title back. My gut's telling me Makhachev. My heart's telling me Oliveira. I'm going to go with my gut in this one. But this is a really entertaining fight, entertaining card. Love it. I absolutely love it.
I also got to see how they look, of course, at weigh-ins, because, of course, Oliveira missed weight in his last fight, which is unusual of him. I got to see how he looks in that one, because that's why he had to drop the title to begin with. But he was still able to beat Gagey and submit him. It's just going to be a war of attrition, a battle of who can you instill their game plan first, because both these guys have that mentality. Was Islam is more of like a aggressive guy looking to like go right away into the takedown, whereas Oliveira will use the range, start off throwing those leg kicks, and I could see either Makhachev taking him down right away, or I could see look for the takedown, and then, like I said, getting hit with that front leg kick right away to the face.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then that could discourage him, and then Oliveira could look to take down Makhachev via the backpack.
Yeah, I mean, this is a war of attrition, battle of
Yeah.
nutrition. So we have to see who comes in there stronger and healthier. But I'm pumped for this card. I know you are, but I can't wait. I can't wait till Saturday.
Yep. But other than that, that wrap things up with our UFC 284 card prediction show. Of course, we will be back next week for UFC Fight Night, which is headlined by Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen at the UFC Apex. That's going to be a big time matchup right there. But before we get going, of course, this is Cage by IQ. You can follow us on social media on, of course, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Just follow us on Twitter at CageIQ, and then Cage by IQ on Instagram and Twitch. And then if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button down below to follow us on YouTube. All of our content gets posted on YouTube. And then please smash the like button down below and hit us up in the comment section and let us know what your picks are going to be for UFC 280, who your upsets are going to be, the dogs that you're looking to go with, any bets or parlays that you're looking to figure to use, and give us what your contrasts are from what we pick. I always value everybody's opinion. We want to know where you're leaning towards with the pay-per-view. And then, of course, with both of us, we value the thoughts and opinions. But other than that, that'll wrap things up for today's show. I'm your host, Cage. This is my co-host, Jim. And we will see you guys on another edition of Cage by IQ. Thanks for tuning in.